Hey everybody, welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. I'm Michael Bryant. We're in the afternoon session. We're live in Florida for the Jimmy Rodgers case. This is the defense closing argument, talking now about the jumpsuit, Jimmy Rodgers' jumpsuit. Why'd they throw it out the window? Why was there no blood on it? Why no residue from duct tape? Let's go back into court. I hear the tones of winding down there by the defense closing argument in the case against Jimmy Rodgers. This is his attorney, and he's kind of reiterating what he hopes this jury will believe, and that is this is just bunk. This guy, Curtis Wright Jr., he's just making stuff up to get himself off the hook because he got a sweet deal, 25 years instead of sitting here looking at a murder charge, which Jimmy Rodgers is looking at. Hey, joining us here, I'm so happy to bring you Melissa Lewkowicz. Melissa, you may recognize from the Discovery ID show Reasonable Doubt out in Los Angeles. She is. Melissa, how are you? Thank you for joining.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I love being on this show.
I appreciate it. So I haven't talked to you about this case. Let me get your general impressions, and we'll get into some nitty-gritty.
My general impressions are this. I think that the defense is doing a great job at reiterating, this entire case is based on circumstantial evidence. And again, even though no motive is required, there is no motive tying him to the case. And it really is an attenuated, he's attenuated from it. He's not really in this the same way that the other two defendants are.
And we've talked about Curtis Wainwright, and he, to me, is the whole ball game. But let's talk for a minute about Miss Schumacher. This is the former girlfriend of Jimmy Rodgers. She was 20 at the time this happened in 2015, and she was visibly like a deer in the headlights on the witness stand. But now we know, and it came out through Cross, she was being compensated, about $400 a month. There was some suggestion she was getting a little bonus maybe at the end of this. They were helping her with housing. What do you think that does to the jury's take on this witness?
I mean, of course, it gives the jury that pause, wondering, what is this testimony really motivated by? Is it motivated by truth and veracity, or is it motivated by this? And what's interesting to me, listening to the defense attorney in this case, is that he's sort of relying on some things that she testified to, and then he's throwing away the others, calling her unreliable. So let's see how this pans out. I think that that's an interesting tack, not one that I might have taken.
Yep, and I think the way this defense attorney handled it was he threw the right things at the jury. The real question now is, what are they going to bite on? We are probably going to hear soon after this guy wraps up from the rebuttal on the prosecution side. And there are the final words from Donald McFarland, the defense attorney, making his closing argument in the case there in Florida against his client, Jimmy Rodgers. Melissa, you're still with me out in L.A. How do you like his analogy to this being just a big story? And in fact, the cooperating defendant, Curtis Wright Jr., is the screenwriter, and then the ex-girlfriend is saying her lines. What do you think?
I love it. I think it's a great way to illustrate how difficult it is to trust eyewitness testimony in the first place without even incentivizing them. So I thought that you really painted a very good picture of that for the jury to really understand.
And I think, Chad, he made a good point about the one hammer being found, that there's no medical evidence to suggest that there was even a second hammer, that every injury to Teresa Sievers' skull, according to the ME, was made by the one hammer they found, or was likely to have made by this one or a very similar hammer. Helps the defense, right?
I think so. I think you could sum up his summation by saying common sense and credibility. He hammered the credibility of the witnesses.
You said that. I did not say that.
Yes.
Okay.
And he also put forth common sense. Common sense would tell you this. Common sense will tell you that.
One of the great points I think that the prosecution is making here, Melissa, is this question that I think most people would have, because most people have not hammered somebody in the head with a hammer. Why wasn't there so much blood? Why wasn't there more of that kind of forensic evidence? Do you think the prosecutor did a good job of kind of explaining that away?
I don't. I think that the defense actually did a better job speaking to the fact that the hammer as a tool is something that's more used in a heat of passion kind of situation. That I thought was a much better argument than this one, and I think that he failed to address it just now.
Yeah, you don't envision somebody using a hammer gently. If you're going to kill somebody with a hammer, it seems to me just common sense, as they've suggested. Don't check your common sense at the door. It's going to be messy. Let me ask you this, Chad. This is a question about the jury, since they're getting close to having this case. We have 6 men, 8 women. Yeah, that's 14. They have not identified the alternates yet. They do that as the first part of the process, which I like. I like them doing that. Everybody's fully invested during the course of the trial then. Does it matter? I mean, it's a pretty evenly split mix. No matter how the alternates shake out, it's going to be pretty much split. Is this a better case for a female juror or male juror?
What always matters, who's on your jury. I think that's one of the most important things trial attorneys can possibly do in the entire trial is pick their jury. And absolutely, women and men and different races view evidence from their own life experience. So they're going to bring that into the jury deliberation process.
Right. So it's going to be really all about the interaction with these people. And again, from a gut level, do you believe the two key witnesses in this case? So we'll be right back into that courtroom in Florida. This is Law and Crime. Stay there.